Hey there boys and girls, luckySkillFaker here and welcome back to another Battlefield 4 video. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the state of the game and just where it is right now, because lots of people said that it is broken and it's already dead and all that stuff, and I partly agree with some of that. Also a little while ago I made a video why, or just like, is Battlefield 4 broken was the title, I guess, and many people actually got back at me in the comment section. They were like, no, Battlefield 4 is like the best game ever, there's nothing wrong with it. And yeah, I think I might know why people are saying that, or just like, of course people can have different opinions. I just want to clear or give a better insight on my opinion, but yeah, I also think that I might know where all this is coming from. But yeah, I would say let's get started and talk about what's wrong with Battlefield 4 right now, or just what the state of it is. So, as we all know, Battlefield 4 is a shooter, obviously, and in a shooter there's some stuff, at least from my point of view, that needs to be like good, or at least on average with all the other ones, in order to make it playable and enjoyable. And first of all, we have a couple of broken gun mechanics in Battlefield 4. For example, the revive glitch / bug from Battlefield 3, where when you revive somebody, that they're getting like more recoil and a wider hip spread and all that stuff, something like that. Sometimes you're still getting random bullet deviation, or for example, when you equip the straight pull ball with sniper rifles, the bullet will just go random everywhere and it will not actually hit the target or where you're aiming at if you're firing at the maximum rate of fire, which is definitely a problem, but still not as well, even if it is game breaking in some sort of ways, because you want to learn the gun mechanics, because like the gun mechanics are one of the most important things in a shooter, obviously. It's hard to do that if there's some sort of random factor in it. And I don't want to say that it's all the time, but it occurs more often than not, and so it's kind of hard to adapt to it, because you never know when it's going to be random and when it's not. And yeah, this is definitely one of the problems. Another problem would be the glitched hitboxes. So, if you do not know what a hitbox is, I will explain really quickly. So, every character model has a hitbox. Just imagine like a little square thingy, which is surrounding, for example, the arms, the torso, the head, and also the legs. So if you're now hitting someone in the leg hitbox, they will their shot will register at like the distance they were hitting him, and then it will like account the damage that this guy is going to take from the shot, because it was hitting his hitbox actually. Now the glitched hitbox in Battlefield 4, which is obviously a problem, is that if the target is running, the hitbox might glitch like behind, or the player model might glitch behind. So you know you're shooting them, you can see the impact on them, you see them like flinching, you see the blood is everywhere, you see the bullet trail, you know you're hitting them, but you're still not getting a hit marker, you're doing no damage, and this is partly the reason of the glitched hitbox, because the hitbox and the player model do not always completely align in Battlefield 4. This problem has been around since Battlefield Bad Company 2. It hasn't been that bad, and again, I don't want to say that it's like bad all the time. You can also have good games, you can have better games, you can have like way worse games and all that stuff. So the one big thing that's playing another big role, obviously, would be the netcode. And netcode is in Battlefield 4 everyone's favorite word somehow. I mean, I cannot like remember how often I saw fix the damn netcode under their battle log posts, which is actually, I feel kind of sorry for them, but at the same time, the netcode is not good. And just from my point of view, me personally, I already thought that the netcode in Battlefield 3 was kind of bad, because you were often getting killed behind cover. But after I've played Battlefield 4, I really wish they would have at least made it like Battlefield 3 was. Yeah, anyways, what is netcode actually? I kind of explained it a little bit in one of my previous videos, but it's kind of how the data packages are sent and how often they are being sent, and it kind of determines how, like, what's being tracked at the time. For example, you could have a higher tick rate with the packages being sent, like a ping, like ping pong, and then the client and the server would always know what's going on, but there's also another thing, which would be kind of the size of what's going to be like packaged and what's going to be sent. This is determined like by how much is going on. Are there many explosions? Are 64 players? For example, all the projectiles have to be like calculated differently and solely by themselves. So there's definitely lots of stuff going on in Battlefield 4, which makes it kind of hard to track all that stuff. There's also all the destruction and the evolution. And to be honest, I think with the netcode, with all the stuff they've put in there, they're actually doing a pretty decent job. I mean, the beta was obviously better with the netcode, because back then we haven't had like all the destruction. I think it was turned down to 25%, and yeah, this is one of the main things. If the netcode wouldn't have to take account of all the destruction, and especially the Levolution events, then you wouldn't have like that big of a issue at all, because it all comes down of how smart you can kind of convert the data being sent back and forth. And again, I just have a general idea of what it is, and it's kind of hard to explain. So if you want to know more about it, you should definitely kind of read about it yourself. I don't know, Google it up on Wikipedia or something. But that's basically how netcode works, and there's not really like it's not really something that can be improved. One way would be if every player would have a better bandwidth, so that they could just send more stuff and could send it more often. However, it would also put a bigger strain on the CPU, on your CPU, and also on that of the server. So it would not be playable anymore for many people, because you basically need to have a fast connection, you need to have a fast PC, and they probably would have to update some of the servers, because from what I've heard, EA gave the Battlefield 4 some pretty crappy servers. So this definitely is another issue. And I mean, netcode is just, for most people now, the general word for bad lag or a bad connection. And basically that's kind of explains it. And I think it can be used as like that. I mean, it is the netcode, obviously, for network. And yeah, so this is one of the other problems. My last big problem with Battlefield 4 would be the player movement. So in Battlefield Bad Company 2, I only felt like you were kind of crippled by the not being able to kind of sprint strafing or sprint a little bit to the side. You were only allowed to sprint like straight forward, which was a little bit annoying, but still this was really basically the only restriction you had. In Battlefield 3, on the other hand, I felt like the movement of the player was basically the best from all the Battlefield titles we have had so far. Partly being the reason because back then we also had like only, I think, like 10 or 20% of the destruction the Frostbite engine is capable of. And now, since we have all destruction and all the player movements and all the netcode and stuff, you really feel like you're having like, I don't know, potatoes attached under your shoes. And there's so often like invisible walls where there used to be a normal wall and you destroyed it and you just want to jump over a little tiny stone, but you just can't do that because in reality there's like a big giant thing. I mean, you cannot see it, but it's there and it won't let you through. And this is basically getting you killed more often than not as well. So those are basically my 4 big problems. And another YouTuber basically summarized that as well by also summarizing other YouTubers' videos. I will leave a link to his video in the description down below so you can check it out as well. His video is a little bit longer. It's the writer, if you do know him, I think I've mentioned him before. So his video is about 30 minutes long, so you should take some time if you want to watch it, but it's definitely a good video to watch, and he probably explains it a lot more in depth. But yeah. Those are my problems, and I can understand if people do not see them, if they haven't played like too many shooters before, or if they just, I don't know, came from another like game, for example, like Call of Duty. Just in general, a shooter where not as much is going on, because there is a lot of stuff going on in Battlefield 4 that's kind of disguising the bad stuff, if you know what I mean. I mean, you got all the vehicles, you got the Levolution, you got destruction, you got the special like gun mechanics with the bullet drop and all that stuff, and they're all pretty cool features. However, in its core mechanics, Battlefield 4 has some issues, and yeah. So I guess if you're not that, and I don't want to say that you're not a good player or anything, it's just that, I mean, if you haven't had that much experience, it's probably a little bit hard to notice. If you're not just like, if it's your first Battlefield, you're probably not going to notice, or if you're just an average or casual player, it's not going to be like that big of a deal. And that's where like lots of people were coming from in my last video in the comment section when I was talking to them. They meant like it's their first Battlefield and all that stuff and blah blah blah. And yeah, I think that's basically where that is coming from. Again, everyone has his own opinion, so I don't like get this wrong or anything. But yeah, I think it's pretty much all for now, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and luckySkillFaker out.